If you're an empath, people assume you must have a big circle because empaths are good with people. I'm Dr. Gabor Maté. You're watching Dr. Gabor Maté teaching, right? And yet, some of the most sensitive people I've met have few friends, sometimes none. So, if that's you, I want you to hear this clearly. It doesn't automatically mean you're antisocial, broken, or too much. Often it means you adapted. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through 5 rare traits that are very common in empaths with few or no friends. Not as labels, not as a diagnosis, more like a mirror. And here are 2 promises, so you stay with me. First, one of these traits will explain with almost painful accuracy why you keep ending up alone even when you crave connection. Second, near the end, I'll give you one simple sentence you can use to test whether someone is emotionally safe for you without overthinking, without guessing, without reading them for weeks. But before we go into the traits, let's start with a question that matters most, not what's wrong with me. A better question is what happened to me that made closeness feel costly, because the nervous system doesn't decide to isolate for no reason. It learns, and if your system learned that being around people means absorbing their moods, managing their reactions, shrinking yourself, or being misunderstood, then being alone stops feeling like loneliness. It starts feeling like relief. Trait number 1. Socializing isn't just talking, it's taking in. For many empaths with few friends, socializing isn't just talking, it's taking in. You don't just hear words, you feel tone, you notice pauses, you sense tension, you pick up the emotional weather in the room. And if you grew up needing to read the room to stay safe, if you had to sense someone's mood before they spoke, then you didn't develop sensitivity as a hobby. You developed it as protection. So today, when you walk into a room, your body does what it was trained to do. Scan. Who's irritated? Who's performing? Who's fragile? Who's about to turn cold? Who's pretending they're fine? And you may not even consciously ask those questions. Your body answers them anyway. Now here's a tiny check-in. Don't think, just notice. When you imagine being in a group, does your chest feel a little tighter? Does your stomach drop a little? Do your shoulders lift? If yes, that's not weakness. That's your system saying this costs energy, and this is why you can spend 2 hours with nice people and still come home exhausted. Not because anything dramatic happened, because your system was working the whole time. Let me give you a quick scene. You go to a gathering, people are laughing. On the surface, it's fine. But you notice one person's smile doesn't reach their eyes. You notice another person keeps interrupting. You notice a couple exchanging small, sharp looks. You notice someone trying too hard to be liked. And you're sitting there nodding, smiling, but inside, you're holding everyone. You're not making it up. You're perceiving. And after a while, you start doing something very reasonable. You reduce exposure, fewer hangouts, fewer friends, more quiet. Trait number 2, you don't hate people, you hate shallowness. Empaths with few friends often don't hate people. They hate shallowness, and there's a difference. They crave connection, but they can't do the type of connection that requires pretending. Small talk that feels like a mask. Friendships built on gossip. Jokes that hide cruelty. Vibes that are actually avoidance. You can feel when a conversation is real and when it's just noise. So, you might show up and you're surrounded by people and still feel alone because your system is saying, this isn't intimacy, this is performance. And when you have that kind of sensitivity, you do something that others don't understand. You choose solitude over fake belonging. Now, I want to be careful here. This isn't about being better than anyone. Many people learn to stay superficial because it helped them survive their own pain. But if you're an empath, your body often refuses the shallow version of connection. It's not that you want perfection. You want honesty, even a little, even a drop. And when you don't find it, you start thinking, maybe I'm just not meant for friends. But it might be something else. It might be that your sensitivity is asking for a different quality of connection than your environment can offer. Trait number 3. You can give but struggle to receive. Trait number 3 is the one that usually started early. A lot of empaths became the good one, the easy one, the one who doesn't cause trouble, the one who understands. And this is subtle, but it shapes your entire social life. Because if you were rewarded for being low need, you can grow into an adult who feels ashamed of having needs at all. So you become incredible at giving. You listen, you support, you respond fast. You remember details. You make people feel seen. And you might even feel proud of this because it's a beautiful quality. But here's the question that changes everything. Can you receive? Can you let someone be there for you without feeling guilty? Can you say I'm not okay and not immediately add, but it's fine, don't worry, because if receiving feels unsafe, friendships become one-sided, you become the emotional home for others, while your own inner world stays locked, and then you get tired, not because you don't love people, because you keep abandoning yourself inside the friendship, and at some point the nervous system says, no more, let me give you another short scene. Someone messages you, hey, how are? And you feel the familiar role appear, the helper, the stable one. So you write, I'm good. You, even if you're not good, even if you're carrying stress, loneliness, or pain, and you do that enough times and something happens, you start feeling like nobody knows you. But the deeper truth might be you've been trained to hide yourself. And this is where many empaths get trapped. They confuse being needed with being loved. Because when you were younger, maybe the only time you felt connection was when you were useful, when you were calm, when you were agreeable, when you didn't ask for too much. You unconsciously choose friendships where you can play the same role and it feels familiar until it feels empty. Trait number 4, you don't explode, you disappear. Trait number 4 explains why you end up with very few friends even when you try. Empaths often don't explode, they don't scream, they don't create drama, they disappear. People call it ghosting, but for an empath, it's often the nervous system's last boundary, because you tolerate, you understand, you rationalize, you give chances, you tell yourself, maybe they didn't mean it, maybe I'm being too sensitive, maybe I should just let it go. And then the pattern repeats. The little invalidations, the subtle disrespect, the jokes that sting, the feeling that your boundaries are a suggestion, not a reality, and something in you quietly closes. You stop replying as much, you stop initiating, you stop showing up. And the other person is confused because they didn't feel what you felt. They didn't feel the tightness in your body after each interaction. They didn't feel your energy drop when they entered the conversation. They didn't feel the internal calculation. How do I stay kind without being harmed? So they say, you changed. And you think, I finally listened to myself. Here's what I want you to understand. Your sensitivity is not the problem. The problem is when sensitivity lives inside a system that never learned boundaries. Sensitivity without boundaries feels like pain. Sensitivity with boundaries becomes wisdom. Trait number 5, you don't want more friends. You want safe connection. And now we arrive at trait number 5, the one that makes everything else make sense. Empaths with few or no friends often don't actually want more friends. They want safe connection, not popular connection, not constant connection. Safe connection where nervous system can rest, where silence isn't punished, where honesty isn't mocked, where your emotions aren't treated like inconvenience, where you don't have to perform. And because safe people are rare, you've learned to choose solitude over uncertainty. Now here's the part that might sting a little, but I say it with compassion. Sometimes the empath's loneliness is not just about other people. Sometimes it's also about a protective belief inside you. If I'm fully myself, I'll be rejected. So you keep a part of yourself hidden, even from kind people, even from potential friends, because your system still expects the old outcome. And this is why you can be around people and still feel alone, not because you're unlovable, because your authenticity has been guarded for a long time. What to do with this? So what do we do with this? How do you keep your sensitivity without ending up isolated? I want to offer a very practical path. Simple, not dramatic. First, stop shaming your need for recovery. If you're sensitive, you need downtime. That's not a personality flaw. That's physiology. Second, practice what I call small honesty. Not big confessions, not intense confrontations, small truth. I'm a bit overwhelmed today. I'd love to see you, but I can only do an hour. That joke didn't feel good to me. I need some space. And it's not about you. These are not just sentences. They are tests, because unsafe people will punish you for small honesty. They'll guilt trip you, mock you, withdraw, make you feel dramatic, make you feel like your needs are a problem. Safe people will do something different. They'll adjust. They'll respect. They'll stay kind. The simple sentence that changes everything. And here's the simple sentence I promised you. The one that helps you test safety fast. A safe friend doesn't punish you for having a nervous system. If you need rest, they don't shame you. If you need honesty, they don't attack you. If you need space, they don't manipulate you. They don't make you earn basic respect. Now, one more practical piece, because this is where retention becomes action. If you're an empath with few friends, ask yourself this question the next time you spend time with someone. After I'm with them, do I feel more like myself or less? Not did they like me, not did I perform well, not was I impressive, more like myself or less. Your body will tell you the truth faster than your mind. If you feel lighter, clearer, calmer, more grounded, pay attention. If you feel tense, guilty, confused, drained, pay attention because your body is the place where your history speaks. A new story. And finally, I want to reframe your situation in a way that doesn't insult your pain. If you have few or no friends right now, it might not mean you failed. It might mean you stopped betraying yourself just to belong. And that's not the end of the story. It's the beginning of a better one. A story where you choose slowly, where you stop confusing being needed with being loved, where you stop calling sensitivity a weakness and start treating it like a signal, where you let fewer people in. But the people who enter don't cost you your peace. So if you're an empath with few or no friends, don't rush to fix yourself. Instead, try this. Respect what your nervous system has been protecting, and then gently, very gently, practice letting safe people prove themselves through consistency, not intensity, because real connection for an empath isn't loud, it's calm, it feels like you can breathe, and when you finally experience that kind of friendship, maybe with one person, maybe with two, you'll realize something that changes everything. You didn't need more friends, you needed safer ones, and you needed permission to be real.